uh, NIL is such a big topic now. We talk a lot about it on this show, and you've been extremely involved, obviously, at St. John's and getting that program to prominence and bringing Rick Pitino back to Queens. So what's the experience been like being part of a college basketball program, one that's been important to you, and supporting from the NIL standpoint when there's so much unknown in college sports right now about what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, college basketball is a business now.
Yeah.
It was a business before, but it's a chaotic business right now. Um, I went to St. John's as a kid from Queens because I sat in the blue seats and I watched Chris Mullen and Walter Berry versus Patrick Ewing and Ed Pinkney and Pearl Washington, and I watched all that, and I went to St. John's, and you know, you know, in about 2000. I was able to help out a little bit because I started Vitamotor in 98, and I just watched them through this 25-year period. Really, like they didn't win a Big East champion. They didn't win the Big East regular season since 1985. They didn't win a Big East championship since 2000, and they didn't win an NCAA tournament since 2000. So as an avid St. John's fan, watching them every year just lose and sit there with 4,000 fans at the Garden, it was killing me. I did an epic sit down with Mike Francesa on FAN one day. If you get bored, you want to listen to it. And I always just wanted to help. So when the new regime, Father Shanley and Bill Janicek, the chair, came to me a couple of years ago, to me, there was one decision, and they made the decision. You got to bring in the best of the best to lead this. And it was Rick. And Rick and I know each other from horse racing since 2005. He's had horses in Kentucky. He was at, both, Lexington, which is horse country, and Louisville, where the Derby is. And we go to Saratoga together. And I said, listen, I mean, Rick was 71 when he took the job. He's going to be 73 this year. I said, Rick, I'm all in. Like, I'm not, if you decide to do this, I am all in. And he took a chance on this job, and I wasn't going to let him down. And I think he's the greatest coach in college basketball history. I know there are some coaches people rank higher that were at one place and did great things at one place, but he's done it at 7 different places and different final fours with 6 different teams. I mean, there's nobody. The common denominator of these colleges is Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
It's hard to do what he's done. And last year, we won our first, regular season championship in 40 years. We win a Big East tournament. We win a regular season game. And then we lose. And then, I think he went crazy for 2 weeks and I went crazy for 3 weeks. And we got the number 1 portal recruiting team right now. And I think we're preseason. I've seen us as high as 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I remember the beginning of last year, there was like 5,000 or 6,000 people at the Garden when he just first started. And starting in January of this year, his second year in, going to the Garden and just looking around and seeing 19,300 St. John's fans.
Yeah. It's cool.
Just gave me chills. And watching 75-year-old men, with their 50-year-old sons, with their 25-year-old daughters, 3 generations all wearing St. John's, and having that when St. John's is winning in New York, it went from a beautiful little Queens St. John's school story to a New York City story to a national story. And listen, I talked to Rick this morning. You might want to break it on your podcast. He's going to sign an 18-year contract. He's going to retire at 90. He told me he won't do it past 90. So I'm going to support him for the next 18 years. And we want to be top 10 for the next 18 years. This is not an anomaly. We want this as long as Rick's here, I'm here. And St. John's, this has been great for the school. Enrollment is up. Yeah. Admissions is up. Applications are up. It's been a marketing star for a great university.